With the 2025 NFL regular season behind us, it's time to do one of our favorite annual exercises.
Naylor, and the crowd doesn't like that call at all.
Yeah, I don't like it too much myself.
A rundown of the worst officiating calls that further emphasize the league's need to fix its officiating and replay systems. So let's dive into 30 of the worst officiating calls of the 2025 NFL season. Giving the Steelers leverage. The AFC North Division crown came down to the Week 18 regular season finale between the Baltimore Ravens and Pittsburgh Steelers at Acrisure Stadium. All Tyler Loop had to do was make a 44-yard field goal, and the division was Baltimore's. Loop missed the field goal wide right, securing the Steelers' first division crown since 2020. But if the refs didn't miss the obvious leverage call against Ben Skoranek of Pittsburgh, it would have been a 15-yard penalty, and Baltimore would have a do-over. Raheem Still's phantom illegal contact penalty. Trailing 20-16 with less than 3 minutes remaining, the Bolts seemingly got a third down stop to force a punt and keep the game going. Except, Raheem Still was called for illegal contact despite clearly being pushed over and interfered with. Phantom safety call on Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota was curiously flagged for an intentional grounding penalty to avoid a sack. But as Anderson explained, it shouldn't have been called.
I don't think that should have been a penalty, Walt.
You're right. It was an intentional grounding.
False starts are legal on tush-push plays. There were numerous instances of the Philadelphia Eagles getting away with blatant false starts on push plays. The ref's most hilarious miss, though? Probably this one in Week 2 against the Kansas City Chiefs.
When you get a false start penalty like that, and they missed that one pretty bad.
It's told on Jordan Mailata. Somehow, Jordan Mailata got away with a clear-cut holding infraction to help Saquon Barkley's 52-yard touchdown run. Hey, if you can't block him, hold him. Zay Flowers' blindside block. Going back to that Steelers-Ravens Week 18 game, Derrick Henry busted off a 47-yard run on the first play from scrimmage to quiet down the Pittsburgh crowd. But hold your horses! Baltimore wideout Zay Flowers, number 4 in white, was called for a blindside block here. Offside is legal? Does someone mind telling us where in the rulebook it says it's okay to jump offside before the ball is snapped? Anyone? Hello? Yeah, that's what I thought.
You see the movement by Dallas. Yeah, no flag came down. None.
Refs and Eagles sealed a deal versus Lions. The Philadelphia Eagles were able to ice their Week 11 Sunday Night Football matchup against the Detroit Lions thanks to an offensive pass interference penalty on A.J. Brown that was actually called defensive PI against Rock Ya-Sin.
That is an absolutely terrible call that it's going to decide this football game.
This isn't a proper coin toss. The winning team can decide if they want to kick or receive. The loser of the coin toss decides which end zone they want to defend. And yet, for some reason, Panthers QB Bryce Young was allowed to choose both options in overtime against Atlanta.
It is heads. You want to kick this way, all right? You're going to receive down here.
Refs screw the Ravens. In the second quarter, Travis Jones was called for unnecessary roughness after a Steelers field goal attempt. Yeah, watch number 98 here and tell us where the penalty is. That penalty gave Pittsburgh a fresh set of downs and led to a touchdown. False starts are legal on tush-push plays, Part 2. Just for good measure, here are the Eagles getting away with another blatant false start on the tush-push. This instance came in Week 2 against the Los Angeles Rams. Totally forgetting the rulebook. DK Metcalf was flagged for an unsportsmanlike penalty after the score, and it should have been enforced on the ensuing extra point attempt. But for some reason, the officials allowed Buffalo to enforce the penalty 2 plays later.
When you have an unsportsmanlike conduct, there is no option to carry that penalty over to the kickoff.
Alec Pierce was ejected for this. To sum up the second half of the Colts season, how about star wide receiver Alec Pierce getting ejected in Week 18 against Houston for this horrific crime? Note the sarcasm. Travis Kelce avoids blatant holding call. He was holding Amick Robertson all day on this Patrick Mahomes completion. It's like he was asking to be called for holding here. That ultimately set up a touchdown to put the Chiefs up by 2 scores. A tale of 2 false starts. Pardon us for including one last Eagles Uncalled false start. This time, we're tying it in with a pathetic false start penalty that was called on the Packers in their Week 10 clash with the defending champs. Wow. Hey refs, this ain't intentional grounding. Mahomes, like every other NFL player, is on the right end and the wrong end of mind-boggling officiating miscues. Don't believe us? Then please explain why this was an intentional grounding penalty when the ball was tipped. How is this not a fumble? All the complaints and talk about how the Eagles get away with false starts on tush push plays. Well, don't forget that it's basically illegal to try and strip the ball from Jalen Hurts too. I mean, hey, just ask the New York Giants all about it. Clean QB hit equal roughing the passer. Lions star linebacker Jack Campbell clearly forgot the NFL rules. A clean hit on a quarterback is not allowed. In fact, it'll usually result in a roughing the passer penalty. 1 foot in equals touchdown? Somehow, this held up as a touchdown for Dontavian Wicks after review, even though he clearly had just 1 foot in. Oof. Hey, we feel for you Lions fans. Zach Bond's hip drop tackle ends Cam Scadaboo's season. The NFL implemented a ban on hip drop tackles before the start of the 2024 season. Scadaboo suffered a gruesome season-ending ankle injury on that play. And Bond also somehow avoided a fine despite the blatant hip drop tackle. Down to the wire. The Minnesota Vikings defeated the Cleveland Browns 21-17 in their Week 5 game in London. Vikings kicker Will Reichard had a particular moment when his field goal attempt struck the wire used for the Skycam. By rule, this should have had a do-over. But the refs failed to spot the ball-touching wire moment. Reichard wasn't granted a do-over. Whew, good thing the Vikings went on to win anyway. Refs hunt down Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter's second NFL game wasn't as memorable as the 2024 Heisman Trophy winner would have liked. Learned pretty quickly that, NFL officiating is hardly fair and consistent. In Week 2 against the Bengals, the Jacksonville Jaguars were a 4th down stop away from regaining the ball with a 3-point lead and under 2 minutes left. Jake Browning's pass attempt to Andre Yosivaish fell incomplete, but Hunter was somehow flagged for defensive PI. The Bengals went down the field to score the game-winning touchdown. Phantom hold cost the Bears. In Ben Johnson's coaching debut, Chicago was on the verge of taking down the NFC North rival Vikings. They were clinging to a 17-12 lead in the 4th quarter. Unfortunately, the defense couldn't get the stop thanks to a garbage call by the officials. On 3rd and 1, J.J. McCarthy threw an incomplete pass in the direction of Jalen Naylor. Even though Naylor slipped in on his own, Tyreek Stevenson was called for defensive PI here. Minnesota scored the go-ahead touchdown and went on to win 27-24. Missed delay of game plus wide receiver slips equals PI? The Colts' Week 13 home loss to the Houston Texans came courtesy of embarrassing officiating that should have led to referee suspensions. Crucial AFC South clash was tied at 13-13 early in the 4th quarter. Facing a 3rd and long situation, C.J. Stroud missed Xavier Hutchinson to seemingly bring out the field goal unit. Except, Hutchinson slipping on his own inexplicably drew a defensive PI call on Kenny Moore. Oh, and the Texans got away with a delay of game penalty on this very play. That led to the Texans' game-winning touchdown. Hey, excellent work as always, refs. Keep it up. Troy Franklin wasn't down. The refs whistled Troy down early by mistake. Because the whistle was blown, though, it wasn't reviewable. Just insane. The Panthers-Bucks thing. Carolina was close to losing the NFC South Division crown to Tampa Bay on a tiebreaker. And it was almost thanks to a blown call in their Week 18 game against those Bucks. Carolina was in Tampa territory and looking to take the lead in the 3rd quarter. Bryce Young threw a backwards pass to Rico Dowdle, but the officials quickly blew the whistle and ruled that it was a backwards pass that went out of bounds. First, the ball didn't go out of bounds. Second, referee Brad Allen later confessed that since it was an erroneous whistle, Carolina should have gotten the option to replay the down. Uncatchable ball plus no contact equals defensive PI? To understand just how difficult it is to be a defensive player these days, well, just ask veteran defensive back Jack Jones. He was called for PI against Deebo Samuel despite A, the ball being uncatchable, and B, Jones committing 0 contact. Tackling before the ball arrives? No problem. The resilient New England Patriots made a statement with their Week 16 road win over Baltimore on Sunday Night Football. Making the win even more impressive, they were able to survive this humiliating and atrocious non-call against Marlon Humphrey on Keyshawn Boutte.
Why is that not
It's
pass
not
interference?
really hard. That's pass interference. That's obvious.
I honestly feel like I did tackle, bro. I'm pretty sure that should have been a PI, but they didn't call it, so I will take it where we take it.
Disaster in Detroit. For starters, the officials missed an obvious false start penalty that should have made it 4th and 6. Secondly, they wrongfully granted Matt LaFleur a timeout, believing that he signaled it before the false start. Defensive PIs called against The offense? We've seen numerous questionable defensive pass interference calls over the years, but we can't say we've ever saw an offensive PI call when a defensive player committed blatant pass interference. But hey, which other horrible officiating should we have included on our list? Was there any notable example that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.